guest is a private chef and owner of Food on Board, and today she's preparing a beautiful roasted salmon with corn and feta salsa. Please welcome to our home, Lisa Ende. Welcome, Lisa. We're so excited to have you here. This is right up Cameron's alley. He loves a nice piece of protein-packed fish, and this salmon is exactly what that is. Joining Cam at the counter is Shirley and Ken. You guys dig in.
Great.
Now, Lisa, this is a perfect dish for spring, and you say it truly is like a fork full of spring in your mouth.
It is, Debbie. I think that it's time that everybody puts away their crock pots right now. We've had enough of winter and cold, and it's time to just have some fresh flavors and something light and tangy and tasty, and for it to taste like spring.
Exactly. Yeah, enough of the crock pots, enough of the slow cookers. Listen, I love a slow cooker and a crock pot, but I feel like that's all we've done all winter.
It's enough.
It's time to spring into spring.
It's time to spring into spring and fire up our grills and just have some good flavorful food.
And we start with this beautiful salmon, and it's very simple, actually.
It is. It's a really simple recipe. It's just we're using really great flavorful ingredients.
Okay.
So we're going to start off with our pieces of salmon. Make sure that they're dry. Make sure that the salmon fillets are dry. And we're going to season the salmon with a little bit of salt and pepper.
Why is it important to make sure that they're dry?
Otherwise, it's just going to get very soggy and let off some more liquid in the pan, which you don't need.
So you want it to be crispy?
Yeah, we want it to be crispy. Just put a little bit of oil in the pan.
Okay, and I noticed that you said you wanted to use grapeseed oil. Why grapeseed oil?
Well, you want to, when you're cooking on a high heat, when you're searing on a high heat, you want to use grapeseed oil versus an olive oil.
There you go.
Or a carcinogen, because it lets off carcinogens.
Okay.
So grapeseed oil cooks on a great high heat. So you want to put it in the pan, seasoned side down.
Interesting. Why do you like to put it the fillet side down versus the skin?
Well, you want to create a nice sear on the meat and then flip it over.
And so how long will we leave this on the stove top?
So you want to leave it on the stove about 4 minutes.
Okay.
Make sure that the fillet is in contact with the pan,
right,
so that it gets a nice crust to it.
It does.
So
I love the crust. The crust adds so much to this.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
And would you say you have to use a cast iron?
You should use a cast iron or something that can go straight into the oven, because from here we're going to put the pan straight into the oven.
I'll take that for you.
And so you want to make sure that the pan or the skillet that you're using is oven safe, and it's got a handle, particularly that can.
Is that too hot?
That can.
No, it's okay.
The handle's perfect. The handle that can actually go into the oven.
Okay, so after about 4 or 5 minutes, we pop this in the oven at what temperature?
We're going to pop it into the oven at 400.
Oh, you never flip it or anything?
No, we're not going to flip it.
Oh.
So 400, that's pretty high too. For how long?
Yeah, that's going to cook for about another 10 or so minutes.
Okay, you could pop that in, and
We're
while
gonna
that
pop
cooks
that
in
in.
there,
Right.
we will make our beautiful corn and feta salsa.
Debbie, you're going to die over this. It is
I'm
so
already-
good.
So the idea of a corn and feta salsa, I love this.
Right. For this particular dish, because you're looking for something that has got a great crunch and is going to add a lot of texture to the salmon, you want to use fresh corn that you can just steam for a couple minutes, and so that's kind of like al dente.
Okay.
And then you want to slice it as close to the cob as possible, so that you're getting some nice texture. And I even love it like when you get bunches
I love it
of
when they're
those
stuck
corn,
together.
when they're stuck together, because the salmon is you want there to be a contrast between the salsa and a contrast between and the salmon. You don't want everything just to have the same kind of texture. You want to be able to taste every single ingredient while it's on its fork.
Okay, so we have our corn, then what do we add?
So we have the corn. We're going to add some chopped up basil.
Nice.
Or basil, as you call it.
Right, I love basil.
Mint. We've got some fresh lime juice, and it's really important to squeeze the lime juice fresh versus using something out of the bottle. It really makes a big difference.
Okay.
We're going to season with some salt and pepper.
Nice. And this is olive oil now,
and
not
add
grapeseed.
some olive oil. Yeah, this is perfect for some olive oil. So put a little bit of olive oil. And we're going to toss that together.
It's so simple, but it tastes it tastes like spring.
We
Tastes
toss
like
before
spring.
we put the feta in?
Yeah, we're going to toss it before we put the feta in,
Okay.
because we don't want the feta to get like all mushy. We want
Okay.
it to kind of retain its.
I mean, I feel like you could put this salsa just on a bed of greens and it would be delicious.
Like
You know?
regular, so crunchy, so crunchy.
Now, you started your career in advertising and marketing, and you say that now when you're cooking, you try to treat each meal like a marketing campaign. Tell me what you mean by that.
That's right.
funny.
So what I think of, like when I'm creating a meal or a recipe, like I'm not just making salmon. I want to make, I'm visualizing how I want it to look, like how I want it to taste, like what's happening outside, like is it hot, is it cold? Sometimes I can just go to into a culinary store and see a plate, and I can see a plate, and I can visualize exactly what I want to serve on that plate.
The whole experience. I think that's fantastic.
It's an experience.
Or go to a farmer's market and look at ingredients and think about like, ooh, this would look nice with that, and these flavors paired together. So it's all about pairing flavors.
Well, you did a great
colors
job of
and
that, let me
texture.
tell you.
Okay, so
Thank
I'm going
you.
to take this out of the oven now. It's been in there, we'll say. It's been in there another 10 minutes, you said, at 400?
Yeah, it's been in there
Okay.
for 400.
Let's
You've got a
plate this
beautiful,
guy.
you've got a beautiful
Oh, sorry.
crust and sear. It's perfectly cooked.
And you put it on top of the bed, right?
Yeah, you put it on top.
Let me... Have I done okay for you?
That's good.
okay.
I mean, remember, this is a marketing campaign.
Right, exactly.
A little bit of pressure.
Like you have to represent it well. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Okay.
There you go. Have a little taste, and as you do,
That's
I will,
beautiful,
uh,
You can
Lisa.
top it with a little bit more salsa.
Oh.
Okay.
More salsa.
okay,
Just a little.
Just a little bit.
There you go.
beautiful.
I love things imperfectly perfect, so as it falls down, it's
Well, thank you very much.
like to taste?
It's delicious,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
And
Taste the
as
fruits of your
always,
labor.
Thank you.
everybody, you can find this recipe at hallmarkchannel.com.